All right, welcome back to the Counteract Podcast, brought to you by the Herzog Foundation. I'm Abigail DeJarnatt, and today I'm being joined by my brother, Caleb DeJarnatt. Caleb, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
I literally had to buy him Slims to get him here, which is well worth it, because today we were talking about transhumanism, and I've been talking about transhumanism a lot in my Counteract groups and kind of mentioning it on the podcast. But Caleb is a seminary student, and he just wrote an entire paper on transhumanism. So rather than me try to condense the notes, I was just going to bring in my top researcher on this particular subject. Since
Researcher.
you've been nerding out about this for like a minute.
Yeah, so have you.
This is completely true. This is the brother, by the way, for those of you who do listen to the podcast. This is usually the brother I'm referring to when I'm like, we watched Hannah Montana in college because we weren't allowed to, and we were...
Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, yeah. Phineas and Ferb. Have you watched like every single episode of Phineas and Ferb at this point?
Not the new ones, actually.
All of them. Not that...
haven't.
Oh, because
No,
it came up with a whole new... Okay, so now we
haven't
know
watched
what
those
we're
yet.
doing later.
Oh, the days of Ben and Jerry and Rhett and Link.
Oh my gosh.
No longer.
No. We...
They're all gay.
It's so true. We when during like college, because I'm a year ahead of Caleb. I'm older, by the way. Caleb is a solid like what, 6'3"?
6'2".
Okay, awesome. I was helping you.
6'3"
I was
with
trying
boots.
to. Okay, I was trying to help you. I am like
6'2" is fine.
5'3". Okay, it's great. 5'3.5" on a good day. That is how tall I am, but I am older. During COVID, we were just like kind of all, doing what everyone did during COVID. And so we would get Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and we would watch Good Mythical Morning on YouTube.
Do, 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 do.
You remember?
No, it just popped into my mind, and I was like, wait, do I remember that? Yes, I do.
Well, anyway, we would watch that, and we would eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream. But now all of the above,
are gay.
are very like anti everything that we stand for. Start off by telling us what transhumanism is.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
You mean
And I
because
totally forgot.
I brought you on to talk about transhumanism.
Yes.
I
Let
knew
me
you
just go
were
my
not
notes.
gonna do that.
I was like, what? I don't know. I have
So-
to think, because you haven't.
So while
It's
you're
been a
finding
while.
it in your notes, here's the thing. I'm literally crying from laughing so hard. This is crazy. No, but while you're finding this in your notes, when you think of transhumanism,
What is transhumanism? I have to find this in my notes, as I wrote a paper on transhumanism.
Right. Well, as you're finding that, I think when we think of transhumanism, normally it's very much like, it seems like conspiracy and transhumanism and the Matrix, and we think of all these like sci-fi movies, but what actually is transhumanism by definition?
Right. I'm trying to find a good definition.
Well, yeah.
Did I give you a definition
You
in our
did.
notes?
You
That's
did.
what I
So
knew
I
it because
have-
I have a really good set of definitions that I used in my paper.
Yeah.
And now they're just
So,
they're gone.
so
Bye.
to remind you, expert, of what you told
Thank
me,
you. Please
condensed
enlighten me.
transhumanism
Enlightenment
is.
is involved in transhumanism.
Oh wow, remembering things. The Enlightenment. You're
I
being
know.
enlightened.
Yes, I know.
What? So kind of like a way that you can like condense
What
it.
did I tell you?
You said that
This is how it's gonna go.
transhumanism-
Like this whole day is I'm gonna be like, I forgot. What did I tell you before?
I'm glad you're here on the podcast.
Thank you. I think I'm just a really good comedic relief.
Basically, when we were talking about transhumanism a couple weeks ago, the way you described it to me was that transhumanism is to enhance humanity past its current potential.
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially, when you think about it in those terms, it's a lot easier to contextualize.
Yes. And it always has some sort of technological component to it. Most of the time, it's like using some sort of drugs to enhance memory, or using like a chip like Neuralink to improve your like cognitive abilities, or like a bionic arm that's better than a real arm.
Yeah,
Something like that.
like Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Like Winter Soldier.
We
So it's
talk a
not
lot
just...
about Age of Ultron in like our like
Yeah,
talking about this episode.
I love Age
And
of Ultron.
she's like, Age of Ultron is transhumanism. Age of Ultron is everything. She's like,
Worldview.
it's Age of Ultron. And she's like, Vision. He says, I am.
And
And yes, he does.
Ultron says, "Upon this rock,
I will build my church."
It's so weird. It's really weird. I think I also referenced this in the AI episode.
You did.
So,
I was
yes,
referencing back to that.
Yeah.
Hi, Allison.
Yeah, hi,
You're listening to this
Allison.
too. Maybe.
No, but it's
Actually, I don't know.
true. So like we can think of like there are movies, there are sci-fi references to transhumanism, but like it's like practical. Like we see
Yes.
transhumanism
Mhm.
today in a lot of ways, and there is that technological component. So it's not like when we're saying enhance past humanity past its potential, we're talking like on a species level. We're not talking about like someone
Yes.
getting really buff for a triathlon, so they're
Right.
pushed past their like natural potential, but they're increasing their but they're getting stronger using like normal physiological functions, biological functions to get stronger, faster,
Yes.
whatever.
This is where you have to use wisdom, because depending on your definition of transhumanism, what do you define as transhumanism? Like, do you think that using drugs that improve your body's ability to fight infections, is that transhumanism? How do you define it?
Right. So what kind of is like to kind of start the conversation, what kind of is the line when it comes to talking about the ethics of transhumanism? Because it's like if you mentioned a bionic arm. Like I know that there's some you were talking about there's some technology being
Yes.
developed. What is it called? It's like a Luke arm.
It's the Luke arm. I
And
forget-
why is it called the
stands
Luke arm?
Literally because they're nerds and they like Star Wars and they liked Luke's bionic hand, but they called it
It's the Luke arm.
it's something like something kinetic evolution, which is crazy
Yeah, and so well,
because
get to that
transhumanism
too.
is evolution.
That's the point. And so that's the thing is it's like that's where this becomes like an ethical concern
Right.
because
where is the worldview based off of?
Yeah.
Because now this is in my notes, but I think the worldview transhumanism is based off of it. I mean, you can trace it back like so long. You could trace it back to the ancient Greeks if you really wanted to. But I mean, it really begins with like when like naturalism started, really the Enlightenment, like the period where like we get humanism, we get Francis Bacon and the scientific method. They love Francis Bacon as transhumanists.
like why? Like what's kind of the reason?
Because
Why can we trace it back to kind of then?
because that's like where like modern science started, because transhumanism is science. Applied science is what they love.
Right.
We like applied science too.
Yeah.
I like applied science.
And the modernism and the humanism aspects, that is where we realize like, oh, like we can do science and experiment and we can know things and we actually don't need to depend on like this narrative that there's a creator who set the cosmos into motion. Like we can understand things based on what we can measure and see and experiment on. The materialism comes out of humanism where it's like,
Yes.
now we are God. And that's where you get into this mindset of like, oh, I can bring about the next phase of humanity, this
Yes.
this continuation of our evolution. And that's kind of where Darwinian
Yes.
like ideology really shapes the
It
conversation.
all like merges together. Like most transhumanists, well, others Christian transhumanists too. Crazy. Are we going to get into that?
Yeah.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
I don't know. But they define themselves as secular humanists, because humanists like basically like humans are like we are. I am.
We are God.
No.
We are, yeah,
Yes.
we are God. It's like the whole like we're the
Define your own destiny.
determiner of our own
Mhm.
fate. Is exactly where I was.
And so they're like, we're determining our own fate. So why not make ourselves live longer? Why not search for immortality? Why
Fountain
not
of youth.
combine ourselves with AI and make the singularity and mind upload like Arlen Zola or
Okay,
Ian Zola
dude,
in Winter Soldier?
That's crazy. He was talking about mind uploading, and I
It's
was
a real
like,
thing.
hold on. You mean like in that one? Is that in Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier.
Where it's like the scientist, the Hydra scientist. These are all Marvel movie references. We're nerds. The soldier, the 1940s evil
Arnim
scientist,
Zola. It's at least Dr. Zola.
Dr. Zola. It's like he's from the 40s, right? And so then you flash forward to like the 2010s, and then all of a sudden this guy is just like conscious in the computer,
Yes.
and it's like. And it seems so far-fetched, but then he's like, no, this is a thing like they're working on developing.
Yes.
Like, well, why? For
Because
what?
it goes to the evolution thing, because we're trying to transhumanism is basically all for like progression of humanity, like transhumanism, like past humanism, basically. And so we get to post-humanism, which sometimes people like transhumanists are for posthumanism, are not
What
for
is
posthumanism,
posthumanism?
which is like we will reach a state as humanity where we have evolved past humanity into a stable state that is like superior to humanity, which is posthumanism.
Cyborgs.
Yes, cyborgs,
Or
mind
like
uploading, or
the
like the
Matrix.
singularity.
What
It's
is the
like,
singularity? You keep saying that.
It's like where AGI happens.
What is AGI?
Artificial general intelligence.
Go back to listen to the AI episodes.
Yes. But where like we humans and AGI merge, and it's like I don't know, but it's like
right.
There's like when
And
you
it's
reach
like-
that point where AGI reaches humanity, and like as transhumanists,
You become
merge.
utopia, like, and it becomes this
Yes.
utopia, and like,
Just like
and that's the secular,
person.
the secular
Yes.
humanist like ideology.
Mhm.
That's like it's so different than like nihilism, where it's just like nothing really matters. We don't really care. There's no meaning. There's no purpose.
Yes.
Here, secular
They don't
humanism.
like nihilism. Like we've
Yeah.
gotten past nihilism.
Yeah.
Because they're like, nihilism is the worst. So
It
we
is, by
should,
the way.
existentialism, we should make a purpose for ourselves. And
Mhm.
so our
is
purpose is
to
for
evolve.
humanity.
Hey everyone, I am so excited to share some big news. Counteract USA is now a part of the Herzog Foundation podcast network. If you're new to the Herzog Foundation, they're all about advancing Christian education and empowering families, educators, and leaders to boldly stand for biblical truth. Just like us at Counteract USA, they believe in counteracting the ever-changing political and cultural tides with grace and unwavering faith. Through this partnership, we're even more equipped to have meaningful conversations about the issues shaping our generation, always through the lens of Scripture. So what does this mean for you? Even more thought-provoking episodes, incredible resources, and a growing community of believers striving to make a difference. We're thrilled to be a part of the Herzog Foundation family, and we're just getting started. So go check out the Herzog Foundation podcast network. And to learn more about the Herzog Foundation and their mission, visit herzogfoundation.com. Let's keep standing firm together in faith.
To make
By what standard?
humanity more human.
Right, which
in which
is
don't-
crazy.
Mhm.
Which is crazy on multiple
Yes.
counts, because it's like we talked about this in the AI episode.
Look at Humanity Plus is the world transhumanism organization. They have a website. It's crazy.
Ew.
That is called Humanity Plus.
Ew.
It's crazy.
No,
Like,
that's the thing.
subscribe to humanity for
No,
$10 a
we
month.
talked about this on the AI episode, but it's like the kind of like the idea that progress without purpose leads to depravity. Like,
Yes.
why do we as Christians care if there's like weirdos that are developing AI? Like, why does it matter whether or not? Oh, back to the Luke arm.
Yes.
We'll talk about this in a second. We'll get to that in
Yeah,
a second.
we'll
We'll get
get
to
to all sorts of
the
stuff.
ethical distinction in a second. But why do we as Christians? Why do we care about this at all? Why not just let them do it?
Because of the Imago Dei, basically everything comes back to
Everything.
like most ethical issues come back to the Imago Dei
Abortion,
or to pride or both together, which is
LGBTQ,
Yes.
like
literally pride.
yes,
Um,
right. And so what about the Imago Dei? Like, what specifically?
Really, I mean, yes. What about the Imago Dei? The Imago Dei.
Well, like, so the Imago Dei is like the image of God, like the
Yes.
fact that we are created in the image of God. And we talked about this
Yes.
on the AI
Mhm.
episode, where it's like that is what makes us specifically human and what makes
Mhm.
humans special and valued in like the narrative of the cosmos. Like that's amazing to be created in the image of God. It's also why Satan hates us as humans, because we are created in the image of God. Go back and listen to the AI episode, but it does matter
Mhm.
because when as Christians, there are a lot of parallels here where it's
Mhm.
like the secular humanism is what we really have to combat, where it's like, well, we can't save ourselves. We
Mhm.
can't sanctify ourselves through this like
Right.
technological process.
Which that's what Christian humanists believe. And
Oh.
Christian transhumanists believe.
That feels like an oxymoron.
It is. Well, because they believe, like, again, Christian transhumanist organization is a real thing. They have a website, they have things that they say. But it's like they believe that in bettering their bodies through technological means, that they are doing sanctification
Which
and like and becoming more like Christ on
is
our earth.
crazy.
Which they say, like, we don't want to be like the escapists who are Gnostics, because they're like,
Who are those guys? What do they
well,
do?
that's like people like who believe that, oh, heaven's going to be so much better, so we don't care what happens on earth.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, don't be like that, but it's
Because,
kind of like a
like,
straw man,
The Great Commission
kind of.
is the
Like,
thing.
I guess there's people like that,
Yeah, right.
but it's like
Um,
they say we don't want to be like that, so we're improving our bodies to become more like Christ's. They don't look for immortality because as Christians, we kind of like know immortality is bad, just like natural law wise, we know we shouldn't be seeking eternal life
on our
on our own
strength,
strength,
ability,
yes.
merit.
without anything but
Right, because like eternity is written on all of our hearts. Like we
Yes.
all know that we are like supposed to exist beyond this. That's why like nihilism is just the worst
we
ever.
hate nihilism.
We hate nihilism. It's so dumb.
Nietzsche.
Boo Nietzsche. I think you mentioned this quote from C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man.
Yes.
That
That's
kind
crazy
of
because
sums all of it up. Yeah, when was
he
this
talks
even
about
written?
this. He wrote it in, I think, the 40s. I think like 44 or something.
I was
Before
reading.
transhumanism, like the term was even coined. It was coined by Aldous Huxley's brother, which is crazy. because
Aldous Huxley wrote Dystopians.
Dystopians, Brave New World, which is kind of like dystopian against
Anti-transhumanism. His brother was like, if we do this, this will
Yeah,
not
he
go
wrote it
well.
also in a series of essays called "New Bottles for New Wine," which is biblical.
Oh,
Crazy.
interesting.
But he coined that. I mean, the term kind of the first time it was used. I'm getting very nerdy. I need to stop.
That's okay.
But it's like Dante talks about it in his either Purgatoria or in the Heaven one, where he's like transhumanism, and it's like Christian transhuman. Like we've gone into our like celestial bodies, basically.
Oh, so he's saying that like he
Dante
used
was
it.
talking about it right.
He was talking about like when like because like Jesus.
Mhm.
I think that's what we as Christians sometimes misunderstand, and even like in secularism, it's like we get so materialistic that we
Yes.
forget that when we like die to this earth and are made alive in Christ as Christians, this is only for Christians. Like God gives us new resurrected bodies, like
Mhm.
physical bodies, and so
Yes.
to try to achieve these like glorified bodies on our own ability, like that is
Mhm.
Babel. Like that
It's
is
Babel,
the
and
Tower of
that's the-
Babel.
That's the thing. Like that's basically the main argument biblically
Against
against transhumanism
transhumanism.
is Babel. Is like
Right.
all of these. You make fun of me for using hubris, but
Can you
she
please
makes
just
fun of me.
explain? Okay, like just
Hubris.
explain what the word hubris means, and then
It's basically, basically pride, kind of like rebellious pride, kind of self-centered pride. I know that's a little
Right.
redundant, but in Babel, they're like, we will be as gods, basically, or
Mhm.
as God. And so in their pride, they were reaching to the heavens. And that is hubris. Like, that's just the word people use to describe
It's
Babel. It's
fine.
not just me.
it's fine. I know. I just when he'll be like talking in like Gen Z
She
words,
makes
Gen Z
so much
slang.
fun of me.
Oh, hey, what's up? This is the studio dog. He
I
may
like
hang
him.
out with us for just a second, but yeah, we'll be like in the middle of like a Gen Z conversation, then he's just like hubris. Like
She just makes fun of me.
he'll just randomly throw stuff like that in. But no, like the thing that I think is like kind of sums it up back to that C.S. Lewis Abolition of Man quote.
Yes.
It says, "Let us decide for ourselves what man is to be and make him into that, not on any ground of imagined value, but because we want him to be such. Having mastered our environment, let us now master ourselves and choose our own destiny."
Mm-hmm. Transhumanism.
Yeah.
Basically, pride and rebellion in a nutshell for the modern listener.
And like if you like listen to that quote, like that is as a Christian,
Which he's talking as
of course.
a transhumanist. He's not actually talking like as transhumanist, but
He's kind of making an argument like from the person of the transhumanist, so you can kind of see as a Christian, as a Christian reader, like reading Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis, like, whoa, that's what we do when we pursue secular humanism to its end. Like we are making man into whatever we decide that man ought to be.
which
Not
that's what transhumanism is. It's
Right.
like practical secular humanism. If you really believe in secular humanism, you're like, okay, well, I don't believe there's a God, but I believe that we should like make humans better, do things for the betterment of humanity. So we have all this tech. Why not try to make people live longer? Why not try to make people like be able to
Yeah.
do better things, have bigger brains, do more than they're able to do in their
right.
in their fleshly prisons.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is it's like it kind of what you were talking about with the going back to the Enlightenment, like the origins of this kind of tell us that again, it sounds good. Like utopias sound good, but the reason you have so much dystopian fiction is you realize that when you have a utopia created in like man's image, in like in the image of humanity itself, like it's going to become corrupted. Like the power dynamic is going to be so corrupted. So like you go back to the Enlightenment where it's like, wow, like we know all this stuff now, and all of a sudden you don't need God anymore. And then
The Enlightenment's the
culturally,
worst.
it
We
is-
hate the Enlightenment.
we do, and it's like there are good things that came from the Enlightenment.
Yeah, but we still don't like the
But
Enlightenment.
the worldview that came from it, where we all of a sudden we just didn't need God anymore because we could know so much on our own, not great. Because then you get Origin of Species by Charles Darwin, and that just gave everyone a license to have, like, when you come, like, you have worldview questions, and one of the big worldview questions is what is truth, and then where did I come from? And now that we have this, like, okay, like we can theorize that we have evolved and are continuing to evolve, well, that just gave us license to progress without purpose, which translates into like the worldview of our entire culture. Like we can just progress, and we can be progressive and forward thinking, and we can decide what's best for humanity versus like rooting it in any like absolute morality or absolute truth. And then when kind of you said like what is good for the good of man, like what is for the good,
Yes.
the greater good, that's like Marxist in like essence, because it's like what's good for the collective. It's also just like the religion, like Marxism like just becomes the religion for everything bad because it gives authority to the government, and the purpose is humanity, which sounds good until you realize that, again, progress without purpose leads to depravity, and someone's going to be in charge, and someone's going to be calling the shots, and someone's going to be getting paid. Probably not you.
And one of my favorite books about this, by Jacob Schatzer, it's Transhumanism and the Image of God. I love that one. But he talks about that, like, he's like, transhumanism basically devolves into the cult of the individual and the cult of the social. So that's basically Marxism. Basically, humanism and Marxism.
And wherever we see Marxism tried throughout history,
it doesn't work.
What happens to people? They die. People die when Marxism is implemented in serious ways. Okay, thank you so much for joining us for part 1 of this very fun, informative conversation with my brother. Currently, I am in Japan getting ready to head to South Korea for Build Up Korea, which is a conference hosted by an incredible group in Korea. So if you're listening to this before the weekend of September 5th and 6th, just be praying for the event, be praying for me, that the Lord's will be done in all of it. And be sure that you check out next week's episode as Caleb and I continue our conversation. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are mine and Caleb's and do not necessarily reflect those of the Herzog Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.